There's a lot of advantages, but sometimes it can be pretty weird.
Chet Hanks reveals what it was truly like to grow up with Tom Hanks as his dad. In a YouTube video uploaded February 15th, Chet says he is totally aware that he was blessed to grow up as the son of two well-known actors, Tom and wife Rita Wilson.
Everyone knows the advantages, They're self-explanatory. I'm very blessed. I got to travel the world, stay in nice hotels, fly in private planes, and I'm very blessed for that. I wouldn't change my situation for everything. I love my parents.
But he also reflects on how people's infatuation with fame can brew a lot of jealousy.
The truth is, it is a double-edged sword. It's a lot more complicated, and not so many people really understand it. You got to keep in mind that fame is the most powerful drug known to man. It can also be the most destructive. People are infatuated with fame. They put famous people on a pedestal. Everybody wants to be famous. It creates a lot of jealousy, a lot of envy. My experience was even more complicated because on top of fame already being toxic, I wasn't even famous. I was just the son of somebody famous, so I hadn't even done anything to deserve any sort of recognition, and that created a lot of contempt.
He says things shifted when he entered a new crowd in high school and college.
I learned that everywhere I went, people in general just had this preconceived.
All right, so what I want to do is I want to show you something. When people get tattoos, they're expressing themselves. Just like a lot of people go to prison, they get tattoos because they're expressing themselves. But this is an example of him expressing himself. You can see around his neck, it says, "I am who I am." That seems, kind of normal, but then you can take it different ways. I am who I am. So in the middle of his chest, there's a triangle with one eye. Now, if you know what that means, you know what that means. If you don't, that's a sign from that makes you elite. Yeah, it's not good. So then to the left of that, you have the two snakes going up the pole. Yeah, if you know what that means, there you go. Now he's expressing himself. He's showing you his upbringing from Tom Hanks. Now, that's pretty dark, and I wanted to point that out to y'all. All right, here we go.
Notion about me that I was just going to be an arrogant, spoiled, entitled brat. And it was almost impossible to break them out of those preconceived notions. People would make up their minds about me before they even got a chance to know me, and it was extremely hard to break down their walls. So I encountered a lot of disdain, a lot of animosity, a lot of negativity, because everybody was just prepared to hate my guts. And that caused me to develop a chip on my shoulder and walk around with a lot of anger. All in all, it just led me down a path of self-destruction through my 20s. Now I'm 31 years old, and I'm just now getting to the point where, I'm starting to truly feel that I don't really have anything to prove to anyone.
Chet adds it took him a long time to realize, quote, people's perception of you is only a reflection of themselves, and says he's now on a new path.
I'm grateful. I've changed my life. I no longer have gone down that self-destructive road of dealing with my anger and my resentment by self-destructing, by pleasure-seeking through partying, drugs, alcohol, substances, everything. And now I'm just focusing on doing the work and being the best me that I can be.
Chet recently faced backlash for his comments on the COVID-19 vaccine and has been accused of cultural appropriation in the past. He had a role on the TV series Empire and makes occasional appearances at events with his mom and dad. Before ending his vid, Chet makes viewers a promise.
This video is called The Truth, about what it was like growing up as Tom Hanks' son. And the truth is that I haven't given you the whole truth. Everything I've said thus far is true, but it's just the surface. The truth is that I was ashamed. Not only ashamed by believing those jealous lies and projections from others, but ashamed because I was insecure about my upbringing. I was insecure about the fact that I did grow up privileged. So that's the real truth. That's the whole truth. And there's more to come.
Winner Tom Hanks is the first person to admit he has a terrific life. But being a huge star is not without its challenges. And one of them came last night when the actor, out to dinner with his wife Rita Wilson, lost it when someone in the crowd nearly knocked her over. Stephen Fabian explains that Hanks was understandably furious.
Back the f*** off! It's Tom Hanks, as you've never seen him before.
Knocking over my wife.
The actor, known as the nicest guy in Hollywood, lost his temper when a fan bumped into his wife, Rita Wilson, as they were leaving a restaurant in Manhattan last night. It happened here, outside the ritzy Nobu restaurant. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson were making their way toward a waiting SUV when they were mobbed by fans seeking autographs. Rita Wilson was wearing high heels, and she apparently lost her footing on this subway grate. At first, Hanks is his usual friendly self, placing his right fist into his left palm, the traditional Chinese greeting. Wife Rita Wilson walks on ahead, but a fan gets in her way, and she stops. And that's when another guy bumps into her. Hanks is livid.
Back the off. What are y'all doing? What do you want? Knocking over my wife.
The apologies start coming his way.
Sorry about that, Tom. Sorry about that, Tom.
The kerfuffle comes just days after this video of Hanks sparked concerns about the 65-year-old Oscar winner's health.
There is no better place in the world to make a motion picture than right here on the Gold Coast.
He was in Australia promoting the new Elvis movie when some on social media pointed out that his right hand appeared to tremble, prompting this headline: Tom Hanks' health fears after he struggles to control shaking hand. Hanks has type 2 diabetes, which can cause hand shaking if his blood sugar levels are low.
Tremor can be from a number of neurologic issues or even associated with people as they get older, but usually does not represent, in most patients, a severe progressive terrible concern for health issues.
In interviews, he has said that his diabetes was triggered by rapid weight gains and losses. He packed on the pounds for A League of Their Own in 1992.
There's no crying in baseball!
Then dropped the weight 1 year later for his Oscar-winning performance in Philadelphia. He wears a fat suit and prosthetics in Elvis, in which he plays Colonel Tom Parker, the singing legend's larger-than-life manager.
I wish to promote you, Mr. Presley.
Parker was a tough-talking operator, and it seems the character may have rubbed off on Hanks.
Back the off.
Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson have been married 34 years. The Elvis film opens nationwide next Friday.
Tom Hanks may be America's dad, but it's a different story with his own family.
Chet Hanks has been out of control for years, making racial slurs, trashing hotel rooms, and getting a restraining order against him. But is Tom responsible for Chet's downward spiral? Tom sent him away to an abusive juvenile camp to keep him out of the spotlight, and it ruined Chet.
I had like a mental break. I had become broken.
Tom tried to hide Chet away, but he couldn't erase his own past. We did some digging and found out that Tom's own ex-wife filed a restraining order against him. Today, we'll uncover the truth behind Tom Hanks' dark past and how Chet became Tom's biggest mistake. This is the real life story behind the tabloids.
I couldn't be a worse father, and I couldn't be a worse human being. I had cursed innocent beings with my own failing.
Before he blew up and became the Tom Hanks everyone loves, he blamed himself for breaking up his family.
I felt in the course of being their divorced single guy dad that I was burning them with cares that they didn't deserve to have to carry.
So when he had his son Chet 3 years later, he had a second shot.
He's got a hood affectation to the way he speaks, even though he grew up in Beverly Hills. Big up the whole island. Go listen now, speak yours. If you're in danger, stay your ass inside.
He's in the news right now for saying the N-word.
Hanks must be so annoyed.
What a Tom Hanks is like America's dad, right? I'm curious, how did Chet Hanks end up like that?
That's a great question. First, let's take a look at Tom's childhood, which may surprise a lot of people.
Your dad and your mom divorced when you were 5.
My dad got a raw deal. He happened to witness the murder of his father in a fight. It ruined him.
So Tom Hanks' grandfather was murdered?
Yeah.
When you look at Tom Hanks, you really don't think his family would have such a dark past.
So Tom's upbringing made him determined to have a stable family.
When I met my wife, Rita, I had never been part of a full-time large structure of a family. I immediately felt comfortable. You just try to be a guy who drives the carpool and picks him up after school.
See, that's the Tom Hanks I know. I know he's a celebrity, but he seems down to earth.
But for Chet, the pressure of living up to the image of a seemingly perfect father was too much to bear.
I was just the son of somebody famous, so I hadn't even done anything to deserve any sort of recognition, and that created a lot of contempt. And I was deeply insecure and ashamed of my upbringing.
When Chet was a teenager, he started rebelling. Tom tried to step in and get him back on track.
I was grounded, and I just about had enough of it. And I got up to go out anyway. And as I was walking out the door, my dad turned to me and he said, "Chet, if you walk out that door, your entire life is going to change."
And it did. Instead of letting Chet learn from his own mistakes, Tom sent him to a wilderness camp for 15 months.
In the abuse and torment of teens in private boot camps that claim to fix behavioral problems with tough love.
They put me in the back of a truck. They told me to take my bandana out and blindfold myself. And they proceed to drive me into the middle of nowhere, the high desert of southern Utah. You are not allowed to speak to anybody, and nobody is allowed to speak to you. Making fires for rubbing sticks together. That's what we have to do every day if we want to earn the privilege of eating hot food.
Tom thought he was doing the right thing. He had limited contact with Chet, so he wasn't aware of how awful it was getting.
It was like psychological torture. They wouldn't tell you when you're leaving until the moment before. So you're constantly waiting for that moment. Well, after 15 weeks, I finally feel like that moment's gonna happen for me. They approach me and they say, "Hey, we got good news, Chet." And they go, "You earned a phone call with your parents." And I just completely, pretty much disintegrated. I had like a mental break. I had become broken.
When Chet was finally released, he was spiraling out of control.
They're making me out to be like the fuck up, like son of Tom Hanks, and then I just like bought into that.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it. If I'm gonna be the fuck up son, I'm gonna be the biggest, like the biggest one of them all.
I was selling coke, doing coke until I couldn't even snort it up my nose anymore.
He caused £1,000 worth of damage after trashing a London hotel room.
And Tom's relationship with Chet had never been more strained.
I wasn't even on speaking terms with them. Like our relationship had gotten so bad.
Tom must have felt like he failed his son. But this wasn't the first time he had failed his family. During Tom's first divorce, his ex-wife, Samantha Lewis, filed a restraining order against him.
She claimed, "My husband has repeatedly verbally abused and humiliated me during the past 90 days in my home. This caused me to suffer great emotional distress."
Tom Hanks having a restraining order against him? That really does not line up with the America's Dad image he has.
Tom denied the accusation, but it was clearly a bitter fight.
Well, I felt like I was a complete abject total failure, and everything I thought was working was actually not working.
To avoid repeating the same mistakes and losing his second family, Tom had to remind himself what he learned from his divorce.
It's a place that everybody comes to in their life for one reason or another. And you work through that till you figure out that, you know, number one, you have been an idiot, but number two, you're no longer an idiot. This will pass. You just got to have a little bit of faith in the goodness that is inside us.
And this was a lesson Chet had to learn as well.
There's like a point you get where you're just like, this is like not the life I was meant to live. Like, what am I doing? And I was at that point when I found out I was having a kid.
That you had a baby. Was that sort of what all of a sudden made you wake up?
Yeah, that's pretty much single-handedly what it was.
Tom couldn't control his son's life decisions, but as Chet tried to get sober for his daughter, Tom had to decide whether or not to support him.
You know, as a parent, you love your kids unconditionally, and you support them in every step of the way, and you got to applaud bravery and honesty when it comes out of your own house.
And they couldn't be more supportive. Every step of the way, you know what I mean? They've always been there for me. I'm really lucky.
Chet hasn't exactly grown up to be the perfect son, but he has shown up for his daughter and stayed sober. He realized he can't control people's expectations of him.
Do you want to be Tom Hanks? All I want to be is me.
And Tom finally realized he had to let Chet be himself and make his own mistakes.
He said, "I figured out the only thing a parent can do is say, 'I love you.' There's nothing you can do wrong. You cannot hurt my feelings. I hope you will forgive me on occasion, and what do you need me to do?
If you truly love someone, give them the freedom to make their own mistakes. If you give them the space to make mistakes, you'll also give them the space to grow.
I love my parents like so much. They're just great people, you know what I'm saying? And I'm extremely blessed.
A man is blessed. A man is blessed with a family sitting down front like that. I can't tell you how much your love means to me.
I'm not suicidal. I'm not suicidal.
Who is Isaac Cappy?
Oprah's a fucking slave trader, guys. You shouldn't trust Oprah.
February 17th, 1977. A date that marked the birth of a promising talent in Hollywood, Isaac Cappy. Known for his roles in blockbuster films like Thor and Terminator Salvation, Cappy seemed destined for greatness. But on May 13th, 2019, his life ended in tragic circumstances that raised more questions than answers. Authorities concluded that Cappy took his own life, claiming he forced himself off a freeway bridge only to be struck by a passing vehicle. A heart-wrenching tragedy or a sinister cover-up? In his final days, Isaac Cappy made explosive allegations that rocked the very foundation of Hollywood. He claimed that his close friend, actor Seth Green, unveiled a hidden world of darkness. Cappy alleged that Seth Green revealed a secret passageway behind a bookshelf, leading to a room used for the most heinous acts against the innocent. This was no ordinary Hollywood scandal. This was a chilling indictment of a system that protected its own. But the revelations didn't stop there. Cappy accused Oprah Winfrey of being part of a nefarious operation, using her leadership school in Africa as a front for trafficking children. He named high-profile figures, Tom Hanks, Bill and Hillary Clinton, alleging their involvement in a deep-seated child trafficking ring. In the days surrounding Cappy's death, conspiracy theorists noted suspicious tweets from Tom Hanks, including a cryptic image of a glove placed ominously in the middle of Route 66, making an eerie reference to roadkill. Though the road where Cappy met his tragic fate was not Route 66, the bridge he allegedly jumped from was indeed connected to the historic highway. Could this be a mere coincidence, or was it a chilling clue tied to Cappy's untimely demise? He even called out social media influencers like Laura Loomer and Jack Posobiec, suggesting they were part of a controlled opposition, masking a far more sinister agenda. The stakes were incredibly high, and Cappy's voice echoed with a warning that few dared to heed.
You 8 kids. You're gonna fucking die. You can't get over that shit. That's a death sentence. You cannot fucking live. But what I'll tell you that you can do is possibly save your soul.
Cappy went further, alleging that the U.S. government orchestrated man-made earthquakes, using the devastation to target vulnerable communities and displace children, making them prey for a dark underground market.
Walk us back a little bit here. When you worked at the South Pole Station, what were you doing there and what did you see? And how big of a weapon are we talking about here?
The capacity to generate earthquakes is one of the things going on. Earthquake induction is a very referenceable science that has a lot of money being invested into it for the past couple of decades.
Was there a hidden agenda at play, funded by those in power?
Yeah, here's the scam, Lucy. Earthquake in Haiti. Great news, we're gonna help them, is what they'd say, but then they're selling the kids from Haiti. Man-made earthquake in Haiti, yeah, probably. Disasters and gold mines for them. Hillary's friends over at DynCorp come in, and they sell the refugee children. That's the scam. That's how it works. They go into disaster areas knowing that they can scoop people up. That's the scam.
In honor of Isaac Cappy's courageous stand against the darkness, we've created this collectible t-shirt as a tribute to his fight for truth and justice. And so that his story continued to be told every time somebody asks, who is Isaac Cappy? Join us as we stand for the truth and amplify the voices of the millions of children who remain silenced. Remember Isaac Cappy and the justice he sought. Justice for Cappy.
That's neoliberalism. That's Rothschildism. That's Clinton Foundation. That's Soros, right? That's Bush.
You decide on this. the one clip that was from Gold Coast, I think that was just them trying to butter up the terrible things that's out there. But you can see a lot of stuff going on with that. Yeah, you decide. See you.